Hello, fellow brothers. Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. Let's be real, Sigma males aren't your average guys. They're the ones who move differently, think deeply, and value their freedom above all else. They're not driven by status, trends, or the need to impress anyone. What makes them stand out is their razor-sharp intuition. Sigma males have this uncanny ability to pick up on things most people miss, whether it's a hidden agenda, a fake smile, or someone's insecurities masquerading as confidence. They've been through enough in life to know what works for them, and more importantly, what doesn't. That's why they've developed a mental checklist of red flags they refuse to ignore. It's not about being harsh, it's about protecting their energy, peace, and purpose. If you've ever wondered why Sigmas seem so unshakable, it's because they know exactly when to walk away. In this video, we'll dive into the 10 red flags that Sigma males never overlook, and why you shouldn't either. Stay tuned. It might just change how you approach life. Let's get started, brothers. And don't forget to let us know your thoughts in the comment section, as I do love to hear from you. Number 1. Overt neediness masquerading as care. There's a fine line between genuine care and subtle suffocation, and Sigma males can spot the difference almost instantly. While some people may genuinely believe they're being supportive or nurturing, the truth often lies beneath the surface. Overt neediness, disguised as care, is one of those behaviors that sets off alarm bells in the Sigma's mind. It's not the small gestures or the occasional need for reassurance that bothers them. It's the relentless, almost calculated attempts to monopolize their time, energy, and attention under the guise of love or concern. Sigmas value their independence more than anything. It's not because they don't care or don't want connections. It's because they thrive in environments where mutual respect and trust reign supreme. When someone's version of care starts to feel like an emotional leash, they can't ignore it. Overchecking, constant texting, unnecessary advice giving, or creating crises just to keep the Sigma close. These aren't acts of love. They're signs of insecurity trying to latch onto the Sigma's stability. The beauty of a Sigma male's approach is that they don't overreact or cause unnecessary drama when they see this behavior. They calmly assess the situation, recognize the pattern, and decide it's not for them. They know they deserve partnerships and friendships where support is about balance, not control. What makes this red flag non-negotiable for Sigmas is the way it quietly undermines their need for autonomy. To them, life is too short to spend it being someone's emotional crutch or sacrifice their individuality for the sake of another person's fragile ego. They won't argue, explain, or try to fix the situation. They'll simply step back. It's not selfishness. It's wisdom wrapped in self-respect. Number 2, a pattern of backhanded compliments. Sigma males have an almost uncanny ability to read between the lines, especially when it comes to words that sound flattering but carry a sharp edge. Backhanded compliments are a subtle form of disrespect, and Sigmas don't just hear them, they feel the intent behind them. It's the kind of remark that pretends to praise but is really meant to unsettle, like, "You're smarter than you look," or "I wish I had your confidence to pull that off." The person delivering it might laugh it off or claim innocence, but the Sigma knows better. What makes Sigmas different is their refusal to play into these games. They recognize that backhanded compliments aren't casual mistakes, they're deliberate moves to undermine confidence while still appearing polite. It's a way for someone to assert dominance without being openly confrontational. But Sigmas don't fall for this passive-aggressive dance. They see it for what it is, an insecurity projecting itself in the form of veiled jabs. And here's where Sigmas stand out. They don't argue or seek validation in response. They won't demand an apology or call the person out in a heated exchange. Instead, they simply distance themselves. For them, it's not worth engaging with someone who feels the need to tear others down to feel better about themselves. This quiet retreat isn't about weakness. It's about protecting their energy. Sigmas don't have time to decode the hidden meaning in someone's words or engage in petty power plays. They'd rather focus on relationships where respect is mutual and words are sincere. Their ability to spot and step away from this kind of behavior isn't just a survival tactic. It's a mark of their emotional intelligence and unwavering self-worth. Number 3, attention-seeking at all costs. Attention-seeking is like a neon sign for insecurity, and Sigma males can't unsee it once they notice it. Whether it's someone constantly posting exaggerated updates online, fabricating stories to seem impressive, or hijacking conversations to make everything about themselves, Sigmas immediately recognize the underlying need for validation. To them, it's not just annoying, it's draining. They don't just see the behavior, they understand what's behind it. A desperate need to fill a void with external approval. For Sigmas, this kind of energy is a hard pass. They value substance over spectacle and prefer meaningful connections built on mutual respect, not performative antics. When someone's primary focus is to draw attention, whether through drama, oversharing, or trying to outshine everyone in the room, it sends a clear message that their priorities are misaligned with the Sigmas. Sigmas thrive on depth, authenticity, and quiet confidence, and attention seekers embody the exact opposite. What makes Sigmas unique is how they handle it. They don't confront or criticize, and they certainly don't feed into the behavior. Instead, they quietly detach. They know that giving attention to someone who craves it at all costs only reinforces the cycle. And that's not something they're interested in enabling. This isn't about arrogance or being dismissive, it's about protecting their peace. Attention seekers create chaos, whether intentionally or not, and Sigmas don't want to get caught in it. They're not here to compete, validate, or entertain. Instead, they surround themselves with people who are confident in their own skin, those who don't need to be the loudest in the room to feel seen. In a world obsessed with applause, Sigmas walk away from the stage altogether, leaving attention seekers performing for an audience that no longer includes them. Number 4, control freak tendencies. Sigma males and control freaks are like oil and water. They just don't mix. From micromanaging every detail to outright bossiness, controlling personalities represent everything Sigmas actively avoid. It's not just about the irritation of someone trying to dictate their choices, it's about the underlying clash of values. Sigmas thrive on freedom, individuality, and self-direction and control. Freaks embody the exact opposite. Control freaks often believe their way is the only way, and they try to impose that belief on everyone around them. Whether it's through constant oversight, unsolicited advice, or outright demands, their behavior reeks of an inability to trust others to make their own decisions. To a Sigma, this is both stifling and disrespectful. It's a direct challenge to their autonomy, a value they protect fiercely. What's unique about Sigmas is how they respond. They don't lash out or try to wrestle back control in a power struggle. Instead, they disengage entirely. They're not interested in negotiating their independence or justifying their choices. If someone feels the need to dominate every situation, Sigmas would rather step away than waste time fighting for their freedom. To a Sigma, control freak tendencies signal insecurity, a need to control others because of a lack of control within themselves. Sigmas aren't here to fix that. They value relationships built on mutual respect, where both parties are free to be themselves without interference. Trying to box them in is not just a waste of time, it's a surefire way to push them out of your life. For Sigmas, life is too short to live under someone else's rulebook. They'll happily walk away, leaving control freaks to micromanage themselves while they enjoy the peace of their unshackled independence. Number 5, talking behind others' backs. Sigmas have zero tolerance for people who thrive on gossip and backstabbing. To them, it's not just petty behavior, it's a flashing red warning sign. When someone constantly talks behind others' backs, spreading rumors or betraying confidences, Sigmas don't need to stick around to figure out what's next. They already know. It's only a matter of time before that same person turns on them. What sets Sigmas apart is their ability to see the bigger picture. Gossip may seem harmless to some, but Sigmas recognize it as a toxic habit rooted in insecurity or a need for control. They understand that people who gossip aren't just passing time, they're usually trying to elevate themselves by tearing others down. It's a behavior that screams untrustworthiness. And trust is something Sigmas value above almost everything else. Rather than confront or call out the gossiper, Sigmas handle it in their signature way, quiet withdrawal. They don't need to engage in drama or explain their reasons. They simply step back, knowing that associating with someone who betrays others is a risk they're not willing to take. This isn't about being judgmental, it's about self-preservation. Sigmas live by a code of authenticity and mutual respect, and gossip undermines both. If someone can't keep another person's name out of their mouth, Why should a Sigma believe they'll be treated any differently? Ultimately, Sigmas prefer to surround themselves with people who build others up, not tear them down in secret. Gossipers may gain temporary attention, but they lose something far more valuable: the trust and respect of anyone with real substance. For Sigmas, that's all they need to know before making their exit. Number 6, chronic victim mentality. Sigma males have no patience for chronic victim mentality. They respect people who face challenges head-on and take accountability for their lives, no matter how difficult things get. When someone constantly positions themselves as the victim, blaming everyone else for their misfortunes or failures, it immediately raises red flags. To Sigmas, this isn't just frustrating, it's a glaring indication of manipulation or an unwillingness to take responsibility for one's actions. What makes this behavior so unappealing to Sigmas is how it drains energy and shifts focus away from growth. Playing the victim might win sympathy from some, but for Sigmas, it's a transparent avoidance tactic. They see it as an attempt to dodge accountability by shifting blame onto others or circumstances. And in the Sigma worldview, where resilience and personal growth are paramount, this kind of mindset has no place. Sigmas understand that life isn't fair, but they also believe that how you respond to adversity defines you. They admire strength, even in the face of failure, and value people who can own up to their mistakes and work through them. Chronic victimhood, on the other hand, is a cycle that not only holds the individual back, but also creates a toxic ripple effect on everyone around them. What makes Sigmas stand out is their quiet refusal to engage in the theatrics of victimhood. They won't argue, lecture, or try to fix the person. Instead, they distance themselves, protecting their peace and preserving their energy for those who approach life with accountability and courage. For a Sigma, being around someone stuck in a victim mentality isn't just exhausting, it's a sign that the relationship is one-sided and unproductive. And that's something they won't hesitate to walk away from. Number 7, disrespect for personal boundaries. For a Sigma male, boundaries are sacred. They're not just arbitrary lines. They're the framework that allows them to maintain their independence, peace, and sense of self. When someone crosses those boundaries, it's more than just a rude gesture. It's a glaring signal of deeper control issues that the Sigma won't tolerate. Whether it's an emotional overstep, physical encroachment, or an attempt to manipulate their mental space, Sigmas notice these behaviors instantly. Sigmas operate with a strong sense of autonomy. They value meaningful relationships, but refuse to let those connections come at the expense of their individuality. When someone tries to push their limits, forcing intimacy too quickly, ignoring their need for alone time, or attempting to control their decisions, it feels like a direct attack on everything they stand for. It's not that Sigmas are unyielding or closed off. They simply recognize that healthy relationships respect boundaries rather than bulldozing through them. What sets Sigmas apart is how they handle these situations. They don't yell or demand respect. They simply disengage. To them, actions speak louder than words, and a person who can't respect boundaries won't respond to explanations anyway. Instead, they step back, protect their space, and let the relationship fade if necessary. This isn't about being harsh or detached. It's about preserving their freedom and peace of mind. Boundaries are non-negotiable for Sigmas because they know their worth and won't allow anyone to diminish it. Crossing those lines isn't just a moment of disrespect. It's a sign that the other person doesn't value the relationship enough to approach it with care. And for a Sigma, that's all they need to know before walking away. Number 8, an obsession with superficial status. Sigmas are completely unimpressed by people who obsess over superficial status. Whether it's flaunting wealth, name-dropping connections, or constantly reminding others of their popularity, this kind of behavior doesn't just fail to impress them. It irritates them on a deeper level. To a Sigma, bragging about material possessions or social clout is a thinly veiled attempt to mask insecurity, and they see right through it. What truly makes Sigmas tick is authenticity and depth. They're drawn to people who have substance, those who know their worth isn't tied to external markers like fancy cars, designer clothes, or social media likes. When someone constantly seeks validation by flashing their status, Sigmas don't feel envious or inferior, they feel bored. They know that real confidence doesn't need an audience, and anyone who relies on their possessions or popularity to feel important likely lacks the inner strength that Sigmas value. This isn't to say Sigmas look down on success. They respect hard work and achievement, but they believe it speaks for itself. Bragging, on the other hand, screams desperation for approval. For Sigmas, wasting energy on people who prioritize image over character feels like a misuse of their time and mental space. Instead of engaging or calling out the behavior, Sigmas simply detach. They'd rather spend time with people who are grounded, authentic, and secure in themselves. Superficial displays may turn heads in some circles, but in a Sigma's world, they're seen for what they are, a distraction from what really matters. In the end, Sigmas leave the status-obsessed to chase applause while they continue building lives rooted in purpose, meaning, and quiet self-assurance. Number 9, energy vampires. Sigmas are highly attuned to their mental and emotional energy, and they guard it like a prized possession. Energy vampires, those who drain others with constant drama, negativity, or endless pointless arguments, are an immediate red flag for them. Unlike most people who might tolerate these energy-sapping behaviors in the name of politeness or duty, Sigmas don't hesitate to cut ties and retreat. What makes this behavior particularly unappealing to Sigmas is their deep need for peace and clarity. They're not interested in engaging in chaotic cycles of drama or constantly trying to calm down someone's emotional outbursts. For Sigmas, negativity is like a fog that clouds their thoughts and stifles their personal growth. They understand that mental energy is finite, and they choose to invest it in things that nurture their well-being and goals, not in endless conflict or toxic conversations. Sigmas are also aware that energy vampires often wear the disguise of needing help or venting, but in reality they just want someone to feed their emotional turbulence without any real desire to change or grow. Sigmas don't get caught up in these loops. They recognize that the person isn't looking for a solution, they just want to suck up attention and sympathy, and that's not something Sigmas are willing to offer. When it becomes clear that someone is an energy vampire, Sigmas don't waste time debating, explaining, or trying to fix the situation. They simply step back. Peace is their priority, and they'll do whatever it takes to preserve it, even if it means walking away from people or situations that drain them. For a Sigma, keeping their mental space clear is non-negotiable. They refuse to let anyone leech away the energy that they need to create, grow, and thrive. And number 10, chronic lack of accountability. Sigmas have an unwavering respect for accountability. They know that mistakes are part of life, but how you handle them is what truly defines you. Excuses, deflection, and blaming others are behaviors that Sigmas simply can't overlook. They've got little patience for people who refuse to own their actions, and even less for those who try to shift the blame onto others to avoid facing the consequences. For Sigmas, accountability is a sign of strength and integrity. It's not about being perfect or avoiding failure. It's about owning up to your shortcomings and taking the necessary steps to correct them. When someone constantly deflects responsibility, it reveals a lack of maturity and, more importantly, a lack of self-awareness. Sigmas know that growth comes from confronting your mistakes, not from running away from them or pretending they don't exist. What makes this behavior so unappealing to Sigmas is the fundamental lack of trust it creates. If someone can't take responsibility for their actions, how can they be trusted in the future? Sigmas value transparency and self-reliance, and they know that people who refuse to own their mistakes are more likely to repeat them and drag others into their mess in the process. When Sigmas encounter chronic lack of accountability, they don't bother arguing or trying to teach a lesson. Instead, they simply step back and distance themselves. They know that no matter how many explanations are given, a person who can't take responsibility will never earn their respect or trust. Sigmas don't need excuses in their lives. They need people who are willing to be honest, confront their flaws, and move forward. Without that, they'll quietly walk away, leaving behind those who refuse to grow. Number 11, overcompensating for weaknesses. Sigmas have a sharp ability to spot when someone is overcompensating for their weaknesses. Whether it's constant bragging, exaggerated claims, or an overly defensive attitude, they can recognize the signs almost immediately. To a Sigma, this type of behavior isn't a display of confidence. It's a glaring warning sign of unresolved insecurities and deep-rooted issues that are just waiting to cause problems down the line. What makes this behavior so off-putting to Sigmas is that it feels like a cover-up for vulnerability. Instead of addressing their weaknesses and working through them, the person is putting up walls or trying to mask their insecurities with flashy words or overblown gestures. Sigmas respect authenticity, people who acknowledge their flaws and take steps to improve themselves, but overcompensating by pretending to be something you're not. That's a sign of someone who isn't comfortable in their own skin, and that's something Sigmas will not entertain. When someone constantly feels the need to defend themselves or boast about their achievements, Sigmas immediately sense that something is being hidden. They know that real strength comes from humility and self-awareness, not from trying to convince others of your worth. And when that overcompensation is used as a shield to avoid dealing with deeper issues, Sigmas see it as a recipe for toxic interactions. For Sigmas, a person who's always bragging or over-defensive is a ticking time bomb. They understand that unresolved insecurities can easily turn into resentment, manipulation, or power struggles. So instead of wasting energy trying to decipher what's beneath the surface, Sigmas simply pull away. They'd rather invest their time and energy into people who are comfortable with their own flaws, knowing that those are the relationships built to last. The number 12, a lack of intellectual curiosity. Sigmas thrive on growth and exploration, both intellectually and personally. So when they encounter someone who is content with surface-level thinking or dismissive of new ideas, it's not just frustrating, it's a deal breaker. For Sigmas, a lack of intellectual curiosity signals a person who has stopped evolving, who no longer seeks to expand their understanding of the world. This is a direct contradiction to the Sigma mentality, which is all about pushing boundaries and constantly seeking deeper insights. Sigmas can't help but be drawn to people who challenge their thinking, who present new perspectives, and who are curious about the world in all its complexity. They see intellectual stagnation as a sign of closed-mindedness, a kind of mental complacency that they simply cannot respect. It's not about having all the answers or being the smartest person in the room. It's about the willingness to question assumptions, engage in thoughtful conversation, and remain open to new ideas. When someone dismisses new thoughts or refuses to engage in deeper discussion, Sigmas immediately sense that this person's world is small. They know that such individuals are unlikely to contribute anything meaningful to their own intellectual journey. Sigmas value conversations that challenge, stretch, and spark new ways of thinking. They don't have time for those who are content with mediocrity or who shy away from diving deeper into complex topics. For Sigmas, intellectual curiosity is essential. It's what fuels their growth, both as individuals and in their relationships. When they encounter someone who doesn't share this mindset, it's clear that they're not on the same wavelength. Sigmas aren't interested in staying stuck in shallow waters. They want to swim in the depths of knowledge, and they expect those around them to do the same. If you're not ready to explore, they'll move on, seeking out those who are. In conclusion, at the end of the day, Sigma males are driven by one core principle: freedom. Freedom to think, act, and exist on their own terms. That's why they don't tolerate these red flags. They're not just annoyances, they're direct threats to their independence. Whether it's the suffocating grip of neediness, the manipulation of backhanded compliments, or the toxic weight of chronic negativity, Sigmas will never settle for relationships that compromise their peace or personal growth. These red flags are more than just signs of bad behavior. They're signals of deeper issues that can interfere with the clarity and autonomy Sigmas treasure. The Sigma mentality isn't about avoiding conflict or staying isolated. It's about choosing quality connections, fostering growth, and protecting their mental energy. They value authenticity, intellectual curiosity, and emotional maturity, and anything less is simply not worth their time. If you identify with the Sigma mindset, you already understand that the pursuit of true freedom requires filtering out the noise and focusing on what truly matters. That's why Sigma males don't waste time with people or situations that drag them down. They are always looking ahead, always evolving, and never allowing others to stunt their progress. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Embrace the Sigma way. Keep your standards high and your peace even higher. Stay true to yourself always. Dear brothers, if you've enjoyed this deep dive into Sigma males, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Tap the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos and join the conversation by sharing your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Remain blessed.